Well, here I am with Steve Bernard, the team manager of the Australian cricket team. He's been team manager since 1998. 13 years, 2 months, the most experienced team manager in world cricket. Brute, there are a few questions that CATV viewers want answered. Sure. First of all, over 13 years, all the players you've seen playing for Australia, Who's the funniest practical joker of the lot?
No one's funny for a start, but I suppose if I was looking for one, I'd have to go McGrath. McGrath's the sort of bloke that if you got into a lift with him and you're on the 20th floor, he's on the second. As he got in, he would press every button from 2 to 20 just to make sure you arrived half an hour later. So, McGrath.
Who was, in your time in charge, the worst timekeeper?
There's a few in that position, but I think Andrew Simons possibly is the worst. Now, I don't want to pick on Andrew, but a couple of times I saw him in the background in a cab trying to catch up with our bus because he'd slept in and couldn't make it on time. But it was probably only a couple of times, but he is the worst, I think, yes.
And there'll be a lot of competition here. Who is the biggest pest on the team?
Yeah, well, really, there's 120 blokes in that I can think of. But coming down, the gold medalist is Brad Hogg. I'm not going to go into any reason for that. You just have to take my word for it. Serial pest.
And the most hyperactive player?
Brad Hogg, on red cordial every day of his life.
Well, there you go. Now, there must be a lot of contenders for the next one. The messiest player, both in hotels and at the ground.
Slam dunk again, Shane Warne, absolute Joe Cocker. Shane started a test match taking about 10 square metres of space around him, ended up with about 25. Took about 13 spots for himself, and he would have towels, he would have clothes, he would have shoes, he would have bats, gloves, everything spread from 20 foot around. So yeah, he's the worst by far.
And this will be difficult. Who is the tightest Australian player with his money?
They're all very careful, these blokes. They're not silly, but they'd rather you shout than they shout, to be fair. And it's very tight. One of them I won't give up. Brad Hodge is pretty tight. He's got his play lunch money still.
Brad Hodge.
Brad Hodge, yes. Not Hoggy, no. Brad Hodge in this case. He's very careful.
And sort of getting to the smarter end of the spectrum, who was your ultimate diplomat over 13 years? Who was your right-hand man in the player group?
We had a lack of diplomats. That's not their strong suit. But if I'm looking back, I think probably Mark Taylor was the most astute, smart, diplomatic and switched on. Yep, that's my man.
Well, the crowd behind us getting pretty excited in this warm-up game, so maybe we'll leave them to celebrate a few runs, and thank you for joining us on CATV.
My pleasure, Philip. Thank you.